First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Dan and Abel, my brother, my mentor too, who have really worked very, very hard for me to be here today and at least give a talk on the journey that I have had together with them. I'm Nicholas Adam. I am from Malawi, like Malawi as my home country. And I am currently here in Georgia to study my PhD. My interest is in infectious disease modeling. And the interest really came to being after some disturbing times that I prevailed through, and with the support from the commenters who really supported me to at least understand my goal and contribute effectively in that regard. So here in Georgia, it's a very beautiful place. As you can see in my screen to the left, it's a very nice place with a very nice vegetation. And to my right, you can see we have plenty of water bodies, and this is more like a small lake just close by our school campus. And it's a place where really I am finding, I think with my family too, who came along with me, they are finding it comfortable to stay around. So currently I am at the University of Georgia. So the University of Georgia is like 2-hour drive from the main hub, which is like Atlanta. So if you can see in the map, it's the actual capital city of Georgia. And from here, you'd see you go all the way about 2.5 hour drive into a city, a sub-city called Athens. And within Athens, that's where we find the University of Georgia. Athens is not as populated. We're about 100,000, at most 500,000 of people that we are living here, and almost half of that population is people who really are working within the University of Georgia, plus other facilities that are surrounded within the University of Georgia. So it's not as populated as it is. And myself, I am accommodated in the university village housing. So the school has housing for students, which you apply, and once you get the opportunity, you are allocated that place. That's where I am with my family. So I am privileged to be among a group of like a cohort. In my cohort, I have 2 of my friends whom we were more like recruited together this fall, like last fall when I was coming here. So the young lady here is Ken. She's from here in the US. And my brother here is from Pakistan. His name is Abdul. We are all first-year students here at the University of Georgia, and we are lab mates. More like we have one faculty member who is our mentor. And I have got an office. So if you can see from the background, this is my office where I usually spend much of my time when I am in campus, and we share the same office. But apart from being a student, going to class, attending like lectures, as well as taking exam at graduate level. I am also a teacher supporting like the faculty members. So I teach Ecology 1000 as of now, which is talking about environmental issues. Like in the past semester, this semester that we are closing, we are towards the very end of our second semester, which is, or which I would say I am finalizing my first year. So I do teach, like supporting faculty members in that course. And so I also have allocated the drop-in hours on Wednesdays from 4 to 5. The class is about 260 students and it's physical. So I do go to class and all those kind of things. The fun fact is that I like moving around a lot, especially during weekends when I am away from studies, I am away from things that really brought me here to do. So I am doing that. And currently I am working on a project. So I have been working on a project, one from back home, which I think we are also like this time around writing script together with Abel. It is on poliomyelitis modeling in Malawi, which has really very fascinating results. And we are really looking forward to send it for publication. Then the other one, which is forming part and parcel of my dissertation, is on flu. So back home, we call it, it's also flu. I don't know how you call it in Uganda and other parts, but in Malawi, we call it zifua, and here in America, they call it flu. So, and the interest in this flu is to look at the flu seasonality in its entirety and try to look and focus how the seasonality patterns may help us understand and focus the intensity of flu that is upcoming in the next year, the burden that is going to associate with that flu, and really the intensity, the virus type that might be associated with that flu. And in terms of the vaccination, all those kind of things, we're taking into consideration to understand them. So with that in mind, we don't want to complicate matters. Our interest is to use very simple statistics that are seen to be like observables, like the mean, interclass correlation, and the median, all those statistics that are able to, most people are able to understand, to be able to focus that kind of fluid dynamics. And we are using the data from the US CDC. So that is my project, and that's how it is going to be more like looked into. But not only that, my interest is also to make a lot of connections with people around me and go back to Malawi. We are setting up a center of excellence in Malawi that is focused more on infectious disease modelings. And thanks to my commenters here who have really put support in setting up that center as well. And currently we are lobbying support to at least doing summer trainings whenever we do have space. And that is the goal. So with this skill in mind, we are trying to more like encourage other people, many youngsters back home in Africa in general, to be able to utilize the skills train those people and be able to do things the way we think things can be done in the best interest, the way we understand them as local people. So that's our interest. And apart from that, during the course of a semester, we usually take some time off with my lab mates. So I mentioned of our advisor. So he's our advisor. His name is John Drake. He's a professor here in infectious disease modeling. And the people around me, some of them are postdocs, and some of them are lab mates who are graduate students who are also within the same lab under the same professor. And so I did mention that I am here with my family. So we came along, and really life has been easier to see that I have people around. So if you can look at my far left, this was, I think, one of the times when I am exhausted and I'm on my way home to look for these people who give some smile on my face. It was one of those exhausting days. So expect for those who are applying for PhDs and masters, you become exhausted. But I don't think you should look like the way I look from the left. But at least you should embrace to smile. And I think for those with, there is that opportunity that you can come along with your family everywhere. I am opportune to say right here, there is another opportunity for my my child, who is now turning 3 years in July. She has enrolled in one of the preschools. And here to my far right, she has parked and she's like, "Daddy, please let you escort me to the bus station." And of course, in free time, I also have a community of I found a community of Black or African friends who also brought their families here. So we do have some family get together, interact, and socialize with those. So this was one of the time. I think you can see this is another family, and we were busy smiling. And as I did make mention that sometimes I go out with my people. So here I was with my daughter, uh, being in one of the beautiful stadiums in the States that can accommodate up to 93,000 people who watch football uh, here. And fortunate enough, this stadium is just very close by. We usually pass by when we want to access to like banks and other utilities around the campus. So it's a beautiful, very beautiful place. And not only do I have like family friends, but also there is a very strong African student community here around who really aim to foster unity among Black students who are coming from Africa, from almost every part of Africa. And it is not common to find Malawians here. I think like in this year, it seems like I am the only Malawian who is who is around, except last year when one of my friend was around and moved out. But at least you find a good number of Nigerians, Ghanaians, Ugandans, Kenyans, and um, uh, West African guys. Most of them, they are here. And I mean, it's a really nice, a very nice community where we discuss issues surrounding our own things, including culture, including um, some of the like giving ourselves tips on how you can endure and survive on campus, where you can run to whenever you have some problems. So there's that a huge community of African students around campus. And we have like our own organization, which is registered and it is well known by the university itself. Yeah, so this is one of the celebrations that we had just a couple of weeks ago, where we had to come together, eat different foods from almost different parts of Africa. I enjoy jollof rice, but prepared in Ghana, uh, like prepared by a Ghanaian than a Nigerian, because Nigerian, they add a lot of pepper than the Ghanaian. So I don't like a lot of pepper, but I think that's so that was the gathering which I really had to enjoy. And you can come along with your family, friends, and almost everything that you might. Yeah, so it's a beautiful city, and one of the symbol of the University of Georgia is, and that one that makes us very lovely. As you see, it's a dog, so we usually call ourselves dogs. So we bark, really like barking, hoo, 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 hoo. So whenever there is a game, as you can see in the stadium, so the G at the middle, in the middle of the ground, are students making a circle, like writing a letter G, and this was a game time. So it was so fun. And in your review, you'd see how beautiful it is. So the white building you see down here is our library. It's a very beautiful site. And the buildings out there, they are buildings that accommodate other faculties. And as you saw, we like hiking, so we usually go hiking. And one of the things that is fascinating is the waterfall. So that's like really some of the experience that I have had, and my life has been here in Georgia. However, as a PhD student, I need to really work to accommodate and make sure that what I came here for is done. And so there is a lot of issues when it comes to work-life balance. So uh, one of the issues that came up during one of our courses is how do we strive? How do we strike the balance between work and life? And considering the fact that I, being a PhD student, I am on scholarship that is based on one, either I should be helping the teachers to teach, like the faculty members, I should be assisting in teaching, or I should be assisting these faculty members doing their research, and it is from there that my stipend is coming from, and it is from there that's where the scholarship is coming from for me to more like live, much as it is fully funded. So how do, as a student, one, two, as a worker, three, as a parent, as a father, as a husband, be able to manage my strive to make time. So I'll speak from this paper, which was done to people in that circumstance, and of which I understand it is very common to the universities out here, like in the Western or in the Eastern. They usually do that, and it is becoming a routine even in the universities back home. Like we are looking at the universities that have really more like given us the basic trainings from where we are leading to be here. So this this paper was discussing to say, much as that is the case, students who come and they are just students, they don't come with their families, they are more likely to find it very difficult to manage their lives. And students who come along with their families, they tend to at least be very cautious in terms of life, school, work, life balance. So it's fascinating because according to this, the results from this paper, it says that people with their families, they are able to be like to make their time very well. And even if they don't make their time very well, but at least their partners will make them to be able to manage their time, to be out of campus, do family matters, and that will relieve them from the intense thinking that they have had whilst they were doing their research, unlike those people who are not married or people who are they are in that position where they do not have some relatives that can give them like time to start thinking around. So as aspirants, I know some of you are not married, some of you are. I just wanted to give this kind of study, which I found it to be very fascinating, and it is also very crucial that when you are applying, you should aim to apply. If you are married, you should be aiming to apply for a scholarship that can accommodate your family along with you. And if you are not married, then you can apply for the scholarship that can really help you to push forward. And if possible, you find somebody you want to associate with, it shouldn't be as hard for you to more like move around those people while you are doing your school. So having said that, I think that's where I end my insights, unless you have some questions that you might need further discussions and further insights. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Nicholas, for those brilliant insights, sharing your personal experience. But before we continue with the Q&A session, I'd like to invite Abel to ask you some questions, and then I'll ask the audience also to do so. Abel, are you able to unmute?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Dan, thank you so much. And Nicola, thank you so much for sharing your exciting life in Georgia, and wish you the very best the next 3 years also with your PhD studies. I have 3 questions I want to chat with you, but I'll begin with one at a time.
Yep.
So can you tell us the story? How did it start before we come to flying, before, because I know the whole story, but how did you actually start to think of doing a PhD? Let's begin from there.
Wow, that's a very fascinating story. I think it started in 2022, thereabout. And so by then, I was working with one of the leading African Institute for Development, like AFDEP. It is one of the leading policy think tank in Africa. And in course of my work, I was not appreciated. Like I was not given the opportunity to be heard what I was saying. And so everything that I was more like doing, it was a trash for my supervisors and the team that I was working with. And I really felt very bad because I asked my question to say, what am I doing? I was employed to do some work here, and my work is not really appreciated. But that more like made me think that I am a failure and I am really very dull at my work. And that was a very big demotivation for me. And as such, I didn't want to be receiving a salary for the sake of receiving a salary, but I wanted to be receiving a salary because I've worked for that. And because of that motivation and the dwindling working relationships with my teammates, I decided to resign. And since my resignation in that institution, I saw a flyer that the University of Nairobi at SEMA was looking or was offering other training, but online. So I applied. And it is from there that I was given the opportunity to at least interact with people. And fortunate enough, the people I interacted with was Abel. And I understandably that time he had just been in UK just for 2 weeks, starting his PhD. And then I reached out to say, you know what, Abel, I'm looking for a job. I am really down and I don't know what to do. I am applying. If you have work, you can give me. So I said, okay, what did you do? Then I said, I did bachelor's in statistics and mathematics. And I also did my master's in biostatistics. I said, okay, do you have any publication? I said, yeah, I do. Can you share me your CV? I shared my CV. Then immediately he told me, Nicholas, you are gold. I was astonished because it was the first time after a long time to be told a positive word after having a very rough experience with my workmates. That was really a comforting word. I was like, you say I am God? So if I was God, why could other people not see that God? He said, no, don't leave. I mean, don't focus on them. Focus on what I'm talking to you. So that is where the interaction between me and Abel began. And later on, Abel now referred me to Dr. Dan to say, you know, you need to at least up your CV a bit. I know you've done a lot, but it does not seem like you've done quite a lot. From the interaction we have had, you've done quite tremendous and you are bound to do quite a lot in the field of your interest. So you need to really up your game. And he started mentoring me immediately to say, what is your next step? Because he asked me, what is your next step? I told him, I need to enroll for a PhD so that at least I should up my game to make sure that I contribute effectively. And he was like, okay, so what is your motivation? I was like, you know, from the work experience I have had, I think having a PhD is good. But immediately when we were also talking about this, there was a crisis in our home country. Like we had COVID coming to an end by then we had polio outbreak, then later we also had cholera outbreak. So all of that made Abel to think, to say, Nicholas, do you know that you can formulate your own, do you know that you can formulate your own center? Do you see that there is no one who is more like talking about using modeling techniques for us to support research, like contribute effectively to policy making? I said, yeah, that is really nice. And immediately I started jumping up and down. And by the end of 2022, this was really more like just for 3 months because I resigned in September 25th. Then by December 29th, I had come up with the name of a center, the objective of a center, and all of that. And I started more like moving around with a lot of vigor and support, and reached out to as many people as possible. And they accepted to say, yeah, we need that. And as I'm talking, we are just waiting for the registration certificate for us to be operating officially. But despite that, I talked about us working on poliomyelitis. This is one of the key projects that I was working with under the center, and we got a lot of support from SACIMA and other like institutions back home, the University of Malawi, KUHES, like Kamuzu University of Health Sciences, that embraced this project wholeheartedly, and we are now we've just presented the results, and they are very happy to implement some of the ideas that we've explored from that research. So maybe I've explored a lot, but that was the motivation that really pushed me into this journey of pursuing a PhD in this field. So it's from failure to really, I don't know, the godness that Abel did mention did take place. And probably within just a period of 3 months, I had gotten the fellowship that I'm talking about. I took the job, another job with the Northwestern University that was well paying than the one I was working at AFIDEP. And obviously, I also had contributed to one of the papers, and yeah, reached out to as many PhD students, PhD professors as possible.
Nicholas, I know we have a long story. We can even talk about how we met in Seattle, in Washington, and
yeah, there is a lot.
There is a lot, but I want us to focus onto the scholarship side and how you navigated until when you had to cross with the family. I remember that story very well. And by the way, the participants here are more interested in that story than the other good things that have done me and you. But let's come here. So you took a decision that you want to go for doctoral studies. And so how did you choose the university to go to? What steps did you take to choose that university? What do you think made your application stand out? That's my second question. It's a bit packed, but try to help us unpack that.
Yeah, I'll try. Coming to what motivated me to say this is the best university I am interested in. Basically, I was not interested in the university per se, but I was now interested in the person or the faculty who would mentor me. So I could go to any other university as far as the person who is to be my supervisor was somebody with reputation in the field. And not only that, somebody who can give proper guidance and accommodative enough to at least spur my vision, as it was already stated. Now, the University of Georgia here, this professor I am under, more like gave an advert. By then it was on Twitter. He indicated that he was working in Ebola virus in Uganda, as well as other Western part. And he also worked in diarrheal diseases before in Madagascar. And he was he is a reputable person. He's a legend in the field. So I took that opportunity. One of the things he did mention in that Twitter, he did indicate that those who are interested to more like talk more should give him like an email, should shoot an email to him to make sure that we talk. And I did so. But that happened whilst I was also contacting other professors in the field who can equally give the same kind of mentorship. So that was the genesis. After giving him after contacting him via email, I shared with him my CV. I also shared with him my what do we call the result transcript. Yes, I shared with him my transcript to say I am interested in that. Here is my CV, and here is my my results. And he was like, okay, can we schedule for a meeting so that we can talk about this? Then we scheduled that meeting, and I was really very much prepared because as I told you, I had now found people who could mentor me and give me good responding skills whenever I am asked a question. So it went out to be a very successful talk with him. And he was like, I am impressed with your records. And in our case here, how we do it is that you are now going to apply via the university system, because it's not only you who has reached out to me. It's almost, I've received a couple of emails and I've arranged a couple of meetings with them. Then I told him immediately to say, so he explained the registration process, and he did indicate that it will cost $100 for registration. And he asked whether I was able to make that amount. I told him, Prof, I am not able to do that. So he said, okay, I'll pay it for you. So he did pay it for me. And so I did the process of writing the motivation letter. I did the process of like this, the project I was thinking I can work along with, a proposal, very short one, like 2 pages in range, very short one, and inclusive of reference letter. Then I applied, and later on, I now was called for like a faculty, like the university now calling for interviews. I attended it online, whilst my friends who did apply, it's a routine here. They come physically at the university, interact with the faculty member whom they want to work with, and they conduct the interviews a day afterwards. So that process, I did it virtually myself. And through that process, that's when I got this, like formally gotten the scholarship. In terms of, you did ask about, would you remind me again the other question? There were 3. Abel?
Yeah, yes, I was asking, what do you think made you succeed in your admission and scholarship?
Yes, so I think the major thing that really made me succeed is one, I had improved my CV. So the CV was one of the things that really boosted my morale, in that it was packed in that way that it was from passive to active, action to achievables. That is one thing. The second thing is, I really truly believe the coaching did a lot of wonders, because I remember when I was attending the second meeting as well, I had missed a call with Dr. Dr. Musinguzi to say a practice call for that. I was really worried, and I think that provided a correct and accurate play on how I can handle. So there was an intensive coaching prior to my second meeting where I was meeting the faculty. And I should say here to say the coaching that was done, like the practice that I did a day before the actual day of the meeting or the actual day of the interview, had almost 80% questions that Dr. Dan had prepared and had coached me, so that you can tell how precise I was. And I should really say here to say, at the end of the meeting, the professor also showed me, she told me, the one who was the chair of the meeting, she told me to say, I would really look forward to seeing you during one of the First Friday. So First Friday is like within the university or within the faculty I am in, the department I am in. They usually have every Friday of a month, the first Friday of that month, they gather together and discuss and interact with different stakeholders, students and faculty together. So she did mention that to say she was looking forward to seeing me in that kind of a gathering. So that was a straightforward way of saying you are considered. So I think those are the two major things that really worked wonders.
Impressive. And actually, you've hammered and almost answered my last question, which was question number 3. But let me ask it again. How did you get to know Dr. Dan Musinguzi? And at what point did you make a decision that let me go for coaching services? Because many applicants are on the call and they are not sure if they need it. They are not sure yet. Can you break that down? At what stage did you know about Dr. Dan? Of course, me, I know the answer, but how did you know about him? And at what point did you agree or decide that you need the coaching services?
Yeah. So it was a wonder for me, honestly speaking. I didn't know Dr. Dan up until I met you. And you introduced me to Dr. Dan. And I should say, I think, in my personal opinion, every person who is really successful needs somebody who can give guidance, a coach. And that's why we see different teams having different coaches, so that together they can cement with the ritual that each player do know to make sure the team is successful. And that was the story of my life. By then, I think CCA African Center of the African Center was not well established, but you had to take me by hand to say, you know what, I do have my own way of doing things, but if you want to be able to understand fully how things are done, then I would really recommend you to attend a session. And that session, the session now by Dr. Dan, because I was told to say you were also part and parcel of that, people who benefited immensely from Dr. Dan's insights. So I said, okay, yeah, I am really looking forward. Where am I missing things? Where am I mixing up things? And why do other people see me as somebody who is not important in their organization? Where am I? And that's where Dr. Dan also came in place. And maybe to put it into its context, when I was even working with AFIDEP, I was applying for scholarships, like PhDs. I was applying and I was trying to contact different professors. But I think I did about 15 applications, but almost no one came through to say I was successful. Everyone was coming either I was not successful, or they could just respond to say they have received the email, the professors, but they were not interested in having me as their student. Or I should say maybe 10 or 11 of them, they never responded. And when Dr. Abel told me to say, you know, you are good, but you just need some improvement here and there, I was like, where should I really improve? Because I felt like I was okay. And really, from the conversation I was having at my work, I was like, that means I am really very down. I need to improve somewhere. And that was the motivation that really made me to enthusiastically go into that. I really just followed every step from word go to the word finish. And that's where I was now able to see, to understand fully, to say my CV was not well structured. I never knew how to contact my professors. And after the training, the difference was like every professor I could reach out. I reached out to 6, 5 responded immediately after I sent them messages. And some were able to schedule some meetings, like Dr. John Drake, and others were able to say, we don't have funding for the meantime, but we are interested in working with you. So that was a very drastic change. And that's how I came to realize, to say, I think everyone needs a coach in a team.
Okay, thank you, Abel, and thank you, Nicholas, for those interesting engagements. I'm humbled to hear how Nicholas benefited from my services and the services of Abel. That's exciting. Now let us go to the chat box, the number of questions. We've got one from Lydia. Hi, Lydia. Lydia is saying, thank you so much for sharing your experience story. It's inspiring. How many children are allowed when admitted for the scholarship?
I think it's not limited, like here in the States, it's not limited. You can take the whole family, but as the more the number of children you have, the more the cost that you are going to have, because like every child, you are adding about $11,000 per year. So if you have like 4 or 5, that means you multiply that amount by 4. So you require about 44,000 for a child, and together with you, that means maybe you should be talking about 60,000, and together with your scholarship, that means you should be talking about maybe 80 to 90,000. So scholarship for PhD, it's usually, like, at least from the experience or from the UGA perspective, is around 67,000, inclusive of like the stipend, as well as stipend plus the actual fees. So when you're looking at stipend, we're looking at the monthly salary that you'll be getting, because you will be here as somebody who is working. So you'll be getting salaries per month to keep you, to pay for your accommodation bills, your food meals, and the other. So the more number of children you have, the more costlier it becomes, and it may require you to more like top up that amount for you to be able to come.
Fantastic. Nicholas and Abel, I think you'll agree with me from my experience of many years regarding scholarships. Scholarships that really support your entire family to go with you, They are not many. We need to put that one into context, okay? Don't say, me, I'm looking for a scholarship that's going to support my family. Then if I don't get it, I'm not going. Know that there are very, very few. In fact, when Nicholas got this scholarship and he told me that I'm going with my family and everybody in my custody, I was like, wow. It was my first time for the last, I don't know how many years to hear that. Most scholarships, they are only funding you as a student, not your family, not your relatives or whatever. So Nicholas's case is unique. It's not common. It's very, very unique. And it will happen that some of you get a scholarship and your family is not part of that scholarship. I think you may need to go because in these things of scholarships, one of you has to sacrifice. Okay, so if that wife you have cannot wait for you to do a PhD, then is not a good wife. If that husband cannot wait you until you are done with a PhD, is not a good one. Basically, and can I also explain that when you've got a scholarship and you are going alone, it doesn't mean that you stay all the 4 years at the university not coming home. That's not the case. Actually, once in a while, you come back home. I think Abel is now in Uganda. Okay, the other day he was in Kenya, something like this. So, and I would also suggest that when you are proposing what to study at your PhD, propose something that's back home in Uganda. That will give you the opportunity to fly back to Uganda now and then. Yes, so that was very important to put it into context because I know people are going to say, me, I'm looking for a PhD that's going to support my family. If I don't get it, I will not go. Please go. Because Nicholas's case is very unique. Yes, also yours can be unique. Francis is asking, how can one collaborate with Nicholas? I mean, with your research team, how can somebody collaborate with you?
Yeah, I'm really very much open. Like even right now, the ACCM can share my details. I know Abel has. You can shoot me an email, just introduce, and some of the things that you might be interested us to talk, and we can schedule a meeting. We can talk and give you specific direction regarding your own case, because it is case dependent.
Okay, thank you. That was from Francis. We've got one from Peace. Hi, Peace. Does someone need to have publications in order to pursue a PhD? Quite interesting question.
Not really. It's not a generalized aspect, but it's just an added advantage if you have a publication. I've seen a lot of people without any publication securing lucrative scholarships as well as pursuing PhDs, and others who really come straight from their degree certificate straight into PhD without pursuing any master's. So they have not done any publication in that regard. So it's not necessarily that you need to publish for you to pursue your PhD per se, but it's more like it gives you an added advantage because you have at least experienced some of the things that you will have to do at your PhD level, because at the end of the day, you need to publish 2 or 3 papers at the end of the PhD. I've seen that in most of the PhD students do.
Yeah, thank you. Abel, you have something to add?
Daniel, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. I badly had something to add.
Okay.
When you clearly stated that the case of Nicholas is very unique, and you put that in context very well. I wanted to share a story here. And just to give another light note is that it is true I am in Uganda. I'm having a very good time with my family. And this is, I think, the
Nice to
fourth
know.
time I'm coming to Uganda, including last year when I was in Uganda for 10 months doing my data collection for my PhD. So you're right, being strategic in putting your project in your home country or where your family is, but also being strategic and intentional in getting opportunity can take you home. Like, for example, I had a training in Nairobi. I said, then I was able to see a way of connecting to Uganda, where I am right now. But I wanted to bring and hammer the message of the issue of families. So when I was applying to Cambridge, I clearly stated that I am a married man, that I have 2 children by then. So the system automatically computes for me. If I'm saying I'm coming with my wife, I'm coming with my 2 children, the system computed it for me, and it had a figure which every sponsor who was willing to sponsor my PhD would be able to meet. Now, I get admission in December last year, in 2020, in 2021, and I must keep waiting for the funding decision to be made. So around January, the funders, okay, my colleagues get notified. Those who were saying they're not going with the family. January, people are getting. February, people are getting. March, people are getting. And for me, I was not getting any feedback. I think we had a conversation with you, Dr. Dan, and we said, could it be an issue of me stating I'm going with the family and the figure is high? Actually, that was the magic bullet. So we went in the system and I made edits. Number one, I said I'm not going with the family. And then they sent me an email and then, are you sure you are saying not going with the family? I said, yes, I'm not going with the family. The following month, which is the 14th of April, 2022, I received the fully funded scholarship. So I just wanted to add a message that going with the family is good, but it's a very unique opportunity. Very, very unique opportunity. And Nicholas, congratulations. Over to you, Dr. Dan.
Wow, thanks so much for those additions. Yes, quite
Yeah.
interesting. Yes, if you
Yeah.
you are saying you're going with your family, you run a risk of becoming too expensive. Too expensive for funders, and then you'll be technically and smartly out. But there are ways that you can go around that, be strategic, propose projects in your country so that now and again you are in Uganda. Abel the other day was there 10 months in Uganda collecting data. So just be strategic. Yes. A piece, they've answered your question. You don't need the publications as per se, but it's an it's an added advantage. Now, I'd like to share my experience. When I started my PhD, I had 0 publications, but I was able to win. You may be asking, how was this possible? Everything goes back to your research proposal. If they can see value in your research proposal, if they can read that you are a research material guy, even if you don't have publications, they'll still take you. But Nicholas has put it clearly, it's an added advantage, because when they get 2 applications, everything is almost the same. They will just look for one extra thing so that they can remove your application. When they got publications, they see you don't have publication, and your competitor has got 2 or 3. Even if you are the one, which candidate would you take? The one with publications. Yeah. We have one, it's about, thanks so much for the insights. What makes people go with their families as they depart for such studies on a scholarship and others can't? I think we've addressed that, eh? Yeah. There is one. Yes. What made you choose to pursue field X? they're asking what made you choose to pursue what you are pursuing now?
Yeah, I think that dates back to, I think, my introductory aspect to say, back home, um, I identified a problem, which I think I saw it to say I can make a very small difference, or I can contribute very small in that space, and that area is that one of using modeling to enable policy decisions, at least to support decision making in our governments. This is a huge problem. It requires a lot of people, but not many are in that space. And it's because of that, I said we need to at least contribute in a small way, the way we can, to make a difference. And that's where even in my speech, I consistently talked about setting up a center, and that center of excellence is really focused on infectious disease modeling, like using infectious disease modeling to aid decision making in a way, because there are some problems that you can qualitatively or quantitatively solve them, but there are other problems that require modeling techniques for you to at least appreciate how how dire the situation is. Just like a case in scenario here is the polio study I've just done. It requires modeling techniques for us to infer what might happen in our country, which places require specialized attention of intervention, for example, immunizations and the like. So this was the gap which I felt I can gain more skills in and contribute effectively at a larger scale. So that was the motivation.
Wow, that's quite interesting. There are two questions. I've just combined them so that you can answer them at a go, but they're a little bit related. There is one about what excites you or frustrates you about studying your field, okay? And how did you go about choosing your PhD advisor or supervisor? And how has the journey been?
3 questions in one.
3 questions in one, yeah.
Yeah, so what frustrates me, I think at least from the experience I have had when I was doing poliomyelitis modeling, I noted to say not many people are paying attention to what I am more like trying to achieve, because they do not know the value that we are achieving up until the results are out. That's when they become interested, especially back home, talking from the poliomyelitis modeling kind of way. And that is really frustrating because I am excited that I am contributing in a way, but because people are not very much familiar, especially those people who are policy makers, decision makers, they are not familiar with what I am doing. They don't see how valuable the results are up until somebody with a strong voice comes in and say, these are the results. I mean, this is the meaning behind this. Let's implement it. So implementation aspect is the problem. And it's not surprising why that is the case, because in modeling, we are using quite a lot of advanced techniques, which most people or people who are in policy, they have not gone that far. And for somebody to make a decision properly, they need to understand exactly what went into and how the results are coming in a very explicit way. Now, if you are presenting to them something that is too complex for them, for their brain to consume, then it is going to be very unlikely for them to at least grasp and make decisions out of them. So that is the problem. So one of the solutions that we are more like I pursue is, first of all, before the decision is made, I reach out to them to say, you know what, we know we have this problem. Can you give me the high level questions that you know you cannot, or they need to be answered, but you do not have the relevant skills that for us to answer it. Then they share. After sharing, I tell them, okay, from this question, then I will need such data sets. Do you have it? Yes, we do. They give me the data. Then from step by step, more like collaboratively, giving them feedback from time to time, explain to them what I am doing from point A to point B up until we get the results. So that's where they are bound to make a lot of inferences, because they have been accompanying the modeling, or the whole aspects, the whole process from the way A. They are the ones who gave me the questions. 2, they are the ones who gave me the data. 3, they have been updated from time to time. And 4, they are bound to get the results and comment on those, give feedback to those results in the best way possible. And that's what we are doing. The second thing is the way out is to use simple statistics. I think as I was making my case, the study that I am currently doing is to use simple statistics that everyone understands. For example, if you go in bank, in the financial sector, you will hear a lot of inferences about depression, inflation, with so many weights. And in those sectors, they are using very simple statistics like the variations, the intra-class correlation or correlation coefficients and the like, from month to month, because it's time series. They are able to make those kind of inferences and communicate effectively to policy people and make decisions based on that. So I am saying, what if we use the very same techniques even in the disease forecasting category, and make sure that we communicate what we have based on the data they give us in a very simple statistics that they can be able to understand, rather than use completely complicated models that are made available. So in terms of the problem, that is the problem. And these are some of the suggested avenues I think maybe we can go about it.
I'm a PhD student in Thailand, and I would like to get a mentor. Is it possible? Francis, that one I'll answer it for myself. Francis, you want a mentor for what? I think if you're a PhD student, you are PhD supervisor or advisor. That's the person you should put your focus on, because at postgraduate studies, your supervisor or your advisor is everything. That person can decide whether to pass you or to fail you. So instead of getting an external mentor who has got a different opinion or different way of doing things, which is likely to conflict with your university supervisor, you don't want to go into that confusion. So I would say better focus or consult your supervisor, because is your supervisor at the same time a mentor. Even the students that I mentor, immediately they get a scholarship, I release them, I say, go, because I've got my way of doing things, which I know will conflict with the other professor. And once you conflict with your professor, then you are out, and out completely. So use your supervisor as the mentor. You have no problem. Yes. How should the CV look like? Kindly share the template. Unfortunately, no, we don't share templates. Okay, we don't give you a fish, but we teach you how to fish so that you can feed yourself for a lifetime.
Yeah.
What does that mean? We give you skills on how to design your CV, because during your search for scholarships, you are going to design, redesign, tweak your CV a number of times. So you need the skills. You need the skills, not the template. Yes. Also, the template is going to box you in someone's way of thinking. So for us, we don't work within boxes. We work without a box, meaning we give you the skills that you can be able to design your CV very, very well. Now, go to the YouTube channel for Africa Center for Career Mentorship. Abel has got 2 wonderful videos on CV design. Yes. Serve yourself. It's a buffet. Now, if you are here, you know that your CV is still in tables. You've got duties and responsibilities. You've got computer skills. You've got language skills. You've got the personal statement. Oh boy, your CV is still behind. It needs to be polished. And by the way, your CV is the most important document you'll ever write. And it's the one that's going to open opportunities, and it's the one that's going to block opportunities. You've heard Nicholas saying his CV was one of the factors that contributed to his success. So go to Africa Center for Career Mentorship. That YouTube channel should be your companion. There is 2 videos on CV design and other things. Please serve yourself. Okay, house is malfunctioning.
The last question
Yes.
I have here is, what do you think was your selling point in your motivation statement or letter? Did you need English language test? Are
Okay.
they required anyways for PhD? So I think this is really context dependent. I cannot really be as precise as it could be. I am not really sure what I have even forgotten what I wrote in my motivation letter. So I can't even remember what compelled the selection team to choose me as a person, if it was directed to me. But with this university, I did not require English test. I think that is very important, but I know other universities within the US where I am, they require English test. So be prepared in either way. So like the university I am in, if you are interested to have like English language test, the university itself offer a course when they know that you are more like struggling in English, whether it is spoken or written. So they offer that course, and at the end of the day, they offer like the TOEFL and other English test requirements that you would require to go almost everywhere across the globe to do that. So it doesn't require you to, it did not require me to write an English test. Why? Because Malawi is officially an English spoken country. So because of that, all instructions, whether it's communication and official communication and the like, is done in English. So they did not require me to have that. Are they required anyways for PhD? Yes, it depends on which country you are from. If you are from Uganda, or maybe most of the African countries that officially speak English as part of their official language, they do not really require to have English tests. But if you are coming from a country that English is not more like an official language and it is not a language of instruction, they really want you to have a TOEFL test or English requirement test to have for you to at least enroll.
Okay. Yes, Samsung is asking, how can I access Musinguzi's coaching services? I'll put my number in the chat. Please, Samsung, get back to me on that and we discuss. Okay, I'll ask one, Nicholas.
Yes, sir.
If you were to start all over again to look for a scholarship, what would you do different? And by the way, another one, how many rejections did you get before you had that big breakthrough? So
I think I should start with the second one. I had about maybe closer to 15 rejections before I had about 15 rejections before I encountered the coaching elements of my my journey. After the coaching elements, I was rejected once out of 6 trials, like emails that I sent to professors who were like responding, and others like, we don't have funding, others like, okay, they were quiet. So it was one. Then that is the rejection side. What would I have done different if I were to start all over again? I think this is really a very crucial and important point. One of it is really to have sought a mentorship. I should have a coach first before I could start applying. A coach really would be there to give me guidance as to where and how I should approach things. Then the second thing is to have like inner motivation, making myself a person who sees challenges as opportunities. So that is one of the things I would really do different. Then the other thing I would really do different is to grasp the relationships I have had with different people, because you don't know who would really push you forward. A person whom you can just meet along the way can be somebody who can push you the direction that you might not have anticipated. So that is how I could do different.
Yes, this is a better place. So I was still telling you, you sent me some scholarships to apply, and I thought I had everything. Only to my surprise yesterday when you told me about it, because I was preparing actually something totally different from the box. So yesterday you sat me down and told me, let's go through it. Only to realize my shock. Actually, we didn't even go halfway. It wasn't even quarter. And you told me, boom, you can't go on. Why? First of all, I didn't have a passport. So it taught me one thing, that everyone needs a mentor. Actually, I needed you so much, because it was from then that I thought about, I'm like, if I need to be very serious. Today, I'm happy to tell you, doctor, that I've worked on my passport. I've submitted. Actually, I'm waiting for them to reply me online to schedule our meeting. So I already applied for the passport. But how they get to know all this? It is because I have someone who's directing me. I have someone who's guiding me on every step that I'm taking. So yeah, it's true. Everyone needs a mentor on this journey. Everyone needs a coach on this journey. Honestly, yeah, to me, I think if you don't have one, there are high chances that your applications will be dropped over and over and over. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing your experience. Yes, yesterday we couldn't go on with your application. They want a passport number and you don't have it, and we just stop there. I'm glad that you've been able to apply. And yes, if you are here and you're looking for scholarships and you don't have a passport, I think you are not yet ready, because some applications, they require you to put the passport number, not national ID. They'll reject it. They want passport number. Yes. So guys, I think with these things of scholarships, we can go on and on and on for 10 weeks, but allow me to invite our guest, Nicholas, to give us his closing remarks. And yeah, Nicholas, please.
Thank you, Dr. Dan and Abel, for the invitation, and the whole team for the paying a clearing ear. And I think I could really testify from the questions as well as the conversation we've had here. So I just have a couple of things that I maybe need to conclude. The first thing is that since you are here, you have made the right decision. Everyone needs a mentor. And that mentor is going to give you a good direction. And that is one of the mistakes I did make in the previous attempts. And I realized that was not the case. That should be. Second, you need to have a vision as a person. After having a mentor will give you some of the highlights that you might need to have a vision as a person. What do you want to achieve at the end of the day? Because that is going to be the motivation for you to pursue what you are trying to pursue. And it becomes easy even for the mentor to at least help you in that regard. And thirdly, opportunities come in different ways. I think I am the lucky one from the conversation I have had. I didn't imagine myself having all the privileges that you had highlighted. So it's a good learning opportunity. So opportunities come in a different way. Learn to grasp what has come on your way, because what you have experienced today is going to give you a stepping stone for you to experience a new direction altogether. And most of all, if you are a believer, then you also need to pray hard, because we trust in God. Thank you.